Well, welcome to episode 6 of my podcast. I felt that the last episode I recorded just yesterday required a part 2 for a couple reasons. One, because a lot of the messages I receive from people uh, regarding the subject of business ownership, just due to the fact that I'm posting a lot of stuff on my Instagram and messages that people who had went and started their own businesses and kind of the decisions they made. And then another thing is I'd already decided to do a part 2, and then I had, just out of nowhere, my business partner today brought up a subject. We were interviewing a girl for a job, and he brought something up, and it went perfectly in line with something I want to talk about here. And so I'm going to share what he brought up. So, part 2 of business ownership. I am going to actually probably rub some of you the wrong way today. Like, even a lot of you who really like what I always have to say, I'm probably going to rub you the wrong way. And keep in mind, this is my opinion. I truly believe I'm right. I think that most very successful entrepreneurs, business owners, most the most happy, the most free entrepreneurs would agree with me. There's a handful that won't, because their story was different, and maybe yours will be too. But the reality is that what I'm about to share, which is my opinion, um, may not be accurate for a small percentage of people. People always say this. They say it in my comments. They say it all the time about business. You got to do what you love. You got to do what you're passionate about. I disagree. I think the answer is no. You actually shouldn't. And some of you might be like, I disagree. Shut it off. Shut it off. And you don't want to listen. That's fine. And some of you are like, I disagree. Let's hear them out. Some of you are like, oh, this is interesting. Some of you don't care. So here's why I say that. Most people that do things they love for money end up hating what they love. You can find it in musicians, artists, which musicians are artists, I get it. But people that like draw or paint, or, when you have to grind out what you love, when you turn what you love into a grind just to pay the bills, trust me, you will end up hating it. Prove me wrong. Try. You'll end up hating what you love. If you accidentally trip and fall into, which this happens, you trip and fall into a business in an area, something that you just really love doing, and it actually turns into a very successful business, and you never had to like grind to pay the bills. It just like really took off because you had a very unique niche thing and it just went, then you probably won't end up hating it. I mean, maybe you will, but most businesses do not have that success. They do not just launch. There's usually a major grind involved. And when you grind it out, you'll end up hating it. And it's funny because that was why I wanted to talk about this episode, because so many people say that. And so many of you will disagree and you'll comment on this and you'll say, oh, but, and I, before you even have a comment, before you even oppose me, um, make sure you have a very successful company in an area that you love. And again, keep in mind, don't attack me and get so angry. Keep in mind that I said that this is the vast majority. Like, only a small percentage will go against this. So if you're that cool, I'm not mad at you or anything. So don't rip my head off. But for those of you who oppose the way I'm thinking and you don't even own a business, or you like, I've been trying to get this business off the ground in the area that you love, and like you can't pay your bills with it, and you're not flourishing, and you don't have freedom, and you don't, then shut up. Like, you're proving my point. You're literally proving my point. So I don't want to hear from you. Uh, so I just think that you should really take a step back, get your emotions out of it, because somewhere in the same system, where if you watch my last episode on business, the same system that most of you don't trust taught you to the expression, do something you love. Just follow your passion. That rhetoric is coming from the system that broke us. And I'm not saying everything from that system is negative and wrong, but most of it is. And I'm telling you, In my opinion, that's one of those things. And most successful business owners will tell you the same thing. They will tell you, no, yeah, that's right. Because my business partner today, when we were in the interview, he talked about, he was listening to a podcast this morning. I didn't know what it was. I never asked him after. I just heard him say this girl, never revisited it, never asked him about it. But this guy who's doing the podcast talked about, people always talk about finding your passion and finding your passion. He's like, no, just go do something. Go do something, commit to something, and maybe your passion will come from that thing you've committed in. Maybe you'll start to learn you're passionate about something. Everybody's sitting there trying to build something around their passion or what they love, and they never end up doing anything. Like, just go do and that was about the end of what he had to say from the podcast, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. Let me tell you something. If you have children and you talk about loving tasks, sports, activities that you do, it's confusing to your children. You like, for you to sit there and say the same thing, like, oh, honey, I love you, and then, oh, I love the Edmonton Oilers, or I love playing the guitar. And I get it. I get it. Like, yes, you love the feelings that come from it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just telling you, it's a confusing thing. I'm not saying you don't love playing the guitar. I'm not saying you don't love the Oilers. I'm not saying you don't love these things. But you have to understand that when you put those things in the same category as, your children or your spouse, it's confusing. And personally, I don't believe they belong in that area. And so, like, people are always in pursuit of this thing they love. Now, let me ask you this. Do you love music? Or do you love painting pictures? Or do you love sewing these baby outfits that you sell? That's your business. Do you love your landscaping business that I don't know. You can think about a million things that maybe, do you love those? Maybe you do, but do you love them more than your kids? Do you love them more than spending time with your kids, spending time with your spouse? Okay, well, then let me ask you this. The answer should be no. You should love your family more if you have a family. Now, let me ask you this then. Then who cares? So if you follow your passion, hear me out here now. If you follow your passion and you follow something that you love, and you get to do it for the rest of your life. You know that old expression, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life, said some broke asshole who was stuck in the system after he got a post-secondary degree. Just saying. You know that saying, right? That old expression. Well, that's bullshit, because let me tell you what, I don't care if I got to eat pizza every single, because I enjoy me some pizza and I can eat it every single day. If I got to eat pizza every single day, and let's say I never got sick of it, I could just do it forever. And I just love doing it for 30 years, but I had to leave 40 hours a week, my wife, my daughter, and for 30 years of my life. And I got 2 weeks vacation, or maybe 3 or 4, because I'm special. And they got to tell me when I had permission to spend with my family, all those other things. But I love doing it. At the end of the day, would I love doing that? Or would I love having 168 hours a week free to decide what I do with that? Whether I spend it with my daughter, or doing hobbies I enjoy, or spending time with my wife, or just investing in family, or learning new tasks. I think I've made my point. You would love to have your 168 hours total control. Then you'd rather have that. You'd love that more than pursuing your passion 40 hours a week and having to give up that 40 hours instead of having freedom. Because guess what? If you created that if you're arguing, you're like, no. Okay, well, if you created that 168 hours of freedom, guess what? You could then choose to spend 40 hours a week doing what you love so much. And guess what? You can do it for free. You can volunteer it. Oh my God, what an amazing thing. And you could do that as a gift to the world. And if you decided, hey, you know what, this week I want to spend this time with my family instead, you get to choose that. I hope I've made my point. So I disagree with you chasing your passions. Now, if you have to do the same thing over and over again for 40 hours a week, or 50 hours a week, or 60 hours a week for 30, 40, 50 years of your lifetime, well, you better hope you like it. you better hope you like it. Everybody's mindset around that, everybody's mindset around, we got to find something you love, you got to find something that you're passionate about, is because you think you're going to be doing it for 30, 40 years of your life. So instead of wanting to blow your brains out in 5 or 6 years, you actually find something that you tolerate or you like. That's where that mindset comes from. Now, keep in mind, if you're a smart, successful entrepreneur and you want to build a successful business because your main goal is freedom, it's not something you do for 30 or 40 years of your life. Are there a lot of business owners that are like 50, 60 years old that literally are workaholics and they're there before the staff starts and they're there after the staff leaves and they're all about their business 80 plus hours a week and they're multi. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy. Maybe you do, cool. But guess what? Their marriages generally suck. Whether it looks like it from the outside or not, they do. Their relationship with their kids, like you can't spend 60, 70, 80 hours a week with something because that tells your wife or your husband or your kids that that thing is more important than them. So you cannot have successful personal relationships in your life when you invest that much time in your company. Long term. Short term, different story. If you do that to build a company over a period of 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 years, let's call it 15 years. That's pushing it though, to be that committed that long. I would encourage you to figure out a way to create the freedom you want in a period of 2 to 10 years maximum. That's what I would encourage you to do. And have that dream and maybe even your spouse is going to help you build that business, which would be incredible working together. My wife and I do it with one of our companies and it's incredible. We learn a lot, trust me, and we're both similar personalities. If you've ever watched our stuff, and in the past, we've had some fireworks. So we've learned to work together. And our daughter is very well aware of our goals and she understands the sacrifices we make now so that we can have the life that we want. And we're starting to have that life and she's starting to see it. Hence the 6 months in the Dominican for the winter is we worked hard to create things like that so that we could do those things. And we're following through, because if we tell our daughter, hey, we're going to do this, but we never do it, and she watches us, that creates resentment. So I'm not going to go down that whole path. We commit to something, we go for it. So my whole point in this is that you can pursue what you love and what you're passionate about and everything else all you want, but understand that you're probably more passionate and more in love with other things in your life. So why don't you just pursue something that gives you the life you want to live? And then all those things you're passionate about and you love, when you've taken care of money and you don't care about any money anymore. I know everyone says money doesn't matter, says the broke person that can't pay their bills and they're stressed out about money. The only people that get to say money doesn't matter to them is people that have so much of it, they literally don't think about it. Those are the people that get to say money doesn't matter. And don't you want to be one of those people? Don't you want to be one of those people that doesn't stress out, doesn't think about it, doesn't have to worry about it, and then you get to do what you want when you want? And if you're passionate about being a firefighter or something, like my best friend, he was a firefighter, built successful companies, left his job at 33 years old, did what I'm talking about, like 10-year kind of thing. And guess what he does now? He volunteers in the community as a firefighter because he's passionate about helping people in that regard, but he's more passionate and more in love with his family. And so he spends time there and then focuses when he can help others in other areas. Why not do that? Now, if you're sitting there and you're still disagreeing with me right now and you're still arguing with me, I think you need to re-listen to this, because what I just said makes total sense to anyone who's sane. You pursue something that works, that takes care of money. Then, once you've taken care of money, you get to choose what you do with 168 hours a week. You get to choose what you do with those hours. Spend with your family, your friends, whoever you want, learn new skills, and then invest in your passion. And if you're a doctor, okay, what an incredible thing. Maybe you can go to third world countries where they don't have proper medical care and you can give your services to those people because you do it because you want to help, because you're passionate about it. You don't need the money. You see what I'm saying? So I disagree with the fact that anyone pursues business out of love or passion. I think that's the dumbest thing ever, because, and I ask this to people all the time, you can think of anything. I don't care what it is. If you had to go out in the blistering sun for 8 hours a day shoveling shit with a shovel into bags 40 hours a week, and then 5 years, at the 5-year mark, you just hammered it away. You hated your life. You literally hated your life. And I'm not telling you should go do something you hate, but I'm using this as an extreme example. But you would hate your life shoveling shit for 8 hours a day. And at the end of 5 years, it's like poof. You now had you had control of time and money. You had all the money you could ever want. You could do anything you wanted with your time. You were free to invest in whatever and whoever you wanted. Everybody says, well, of course I'd do it. Well, you should say that. Everybody should say that. Some people will have some sort of ridiculous argument why they wouldn't. But very few people will. Out of 100 people say it, maybe 95 of them maybe 5 of them will actually do it. 95 of them would start in their first week, they'd quit. Some of them would make it a month. Some of them would make it, a couple months. Some would make it a few years. But at the end, it's like Navy SEAL training. Same thing. People ring the bell. They just give up because they actually don't want it that bad. I can tell you right now, and look you in the eyes to this camera and tell you, I would not quit. I don't have a quit button. That's just who I am. And so I'm not saying go do something you hate, but I'm saying go do something that creates the result you want, time and money, then pursue your passion. And let's get this straight. If you want to pursue your passion now, you better not fuck around with what you can create time and money with. Hurry up. Don't turn it into a hobby. Don't dip your toe in it and then go party with your friends and dip your toe in it and then go play rec league baseball or softball. Like, just get it handled. Because then what you'll do is you'll be like, you'll try to create things. You'll be like, I tried it that way and it didn't work. It works. You don't work. It's that simple. It works. You don't. You chose not to. And that leads me to my other point I wanted to talk about. I saw some messages. Some people shared some things with me on there. And one, I think it was a woman who told me they sold everything. And they bought a bunch of equipment to start this company. I can't remember what it was. Someone else started theirs out of a barn, and they put it all on the line. And here's the funny thing is these people that are willing to put it all on the line, that sell everything and maybe invest $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 into starting a business, they don't have a quit button. You know why? Because they got everything on the line. They risked it all, and they have no choice but to succeed. The funny thing is, in today's world, you can start businesses for a few $100s, sometimes for nothing, sometimes for a few $1,000s. And most of you treat it like you have very little investment in it. And I'm guilty of that. I'll speak from experience. I have started many little businesses without putting a lot of money up front, and a lot of them are gone today. Like, a lot of them are gone. I've owned, and if you ever want, we could talk about some of the businesses I've owned. I mean, I'm not going to list them all off on here. And a lot of them were like traditional style, like a clothing company, suits, custom made suits and dress shirts. And then everybody got into it and started doing it and selling garbage for cheap, and men didn't understand the difference. So I was done with it, and I didn't have a lot of money invested in that. So I walked away from it. Could I probably have succeeded at a high level still? Yeah. But I decided not to. So I have experience in leaving things. You might say, well, you just said you don't have a quit button. I get that. But I didn't quit on my goal. I just applied my efforts somewhere else. I moved them somewhere. I found something that made more sense and worked better. Right. And you're going to do those things. I had a guy message me and tell my man, I'm like, if it doesn't succeed, don't give up on your dream. Just find another way to create your dream. Right? That's what we all have to remember. You're trying to create a result here. So these people that have all this money, they're never going to quit. They welded the back door. There is no back door. It's a stone wall. It's just, you can't go through it. Whereas most people that go try to start this business and they start all kinds of things online, fulfilled by Amazon, they maybe get into a network marketing thing or direct sales or anything like that, or they start flipping things on Kijiji, whatever your thing is that you want to start for next to nothing. And you can have success with all those things. A lot of you, though, will very easily kind of like get distracted, with life, because you don't have everything on the line. So when your mom comes from out of town to visit, you just, oh yeah, you'll hang out with your mom for the weekend, or so-and-so's birthday's there. So you'll prioritize the birthday instead of doing the things you need to do in your company, because you got nothing in it. But I'll tell you what, when you put everything on the line, when you put all your money on the line and you got everything, your family's counting on you. Your mom comes from out of town, you haven't seen her in 10 years. You say, hey, Mom, I'm going to be at my office. I'd love to see you. Please stop by and see me, but I can't leave. I'm busy. I got everything on the line here. I'm trying to build something for my family. It's that simple. That's the difference. Same with birthday parties. Like, so many of you want to create this success, and you're tiptoeing around with ridiculousness. You have to make a decision. Find something that works. That's the key. Find people that have created success in that area. I don't give a shit if you love it or you're passionate about it. I actually don't even care if you hate it. I don't recommend that, but like I said, if you know for sure you can create that result, I say go for it. If you know that in a time frame you can create the result you're wanting, and it's just, you have to put yourself through the pain, go for it. Absolutely. But I think you should find something that you can handle, that you can grow in and learn from. And guess what? You may not be passionate about it, but you may discover you become passionate about it. I'll tell you, I didn't know I liked shooting a bow, like a bow and arrow. I didn't know I liked it. And last summer I was at Eric's in Ontario, and he was a bow guy. And I came back home, I bought a bow, and I shot it in my backyard, and I was like, I'm in love. Like, again, different kind of love than my kid. But I had this great feeling. I was like, I enjoy this. Maybe even more than shooting pew pews, and I enjoyed it. And so I learned I was passionate about it. Do you think you were born being passionate about all the things you're passionate about today? Were you passionate about, let's say you're 30 years old and you're passionate about something? Were you passionate about that when you were 10, 15? Some of you might be like, yeah. Yeah, and sure, there's things we are passionate about our whole lives. Like, I grew up as a hockey kid, played it, refed it, coached it. I'm passionate about hockey, and I still am to this day. But there are things that I'm passionate about today that I didn't become passionate about until I was in my 20s, in my 30s even. It's like everyone's like, oh, you got to be passionate about it. Well, maybe you just haven't discovered that you're passionate about this. Anyway, I think you get my point. I'm kind of running in circles, and this episode was not meant to be long. This is just a part 2 to add on to that. So here it is. Close the door. Commit to something as if you have everything riding on it, everything in your life. Your whole family's riding on it. All your money's riding on it. If you don't succeed, it's game over. You don't know what you're going to do. And then find the way to create the life you want and go and do it. And the way you want to do that is find people who are, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead of you in that arena, whether I don't care, like social media influencer. Well, there aren't people that are 20 years ahead, but, and find out what they would do different. Would they, like, what did they learn? Would they, still do it that way? Or did they learn other ways that they're maybe making money in other ways now? And they said, no, I would have went this way. I would have went this way right from the get go. Cause I'll tell you what, I did a lot of businesses for close to, well, over 10 years for sure. Cause I was 17, but in my teenage years, I ran fake little businesses, but I was always hustling. And it wasn't until I was 27 till I really discovered things. And so I can tell you, and I've done things since then as well at the same time. And I can tell you, like, I would not do those other things over one specific thing because I know that it gives me the results. It's why I think the way I think today. It's why I talk the way I talk today. It's why I prioritize the things I prioritize today. So talk to people that are in, if you're pursuing an area that you want to be passionate about, then talk to them. First off, I wouldn't pursue an area. I would just find people that live the way you want to live, and just write down the things you want to live. Do you want control of 168 hours a week? Yep. You want to be able to travel the world whenever you want? Yep. Do you want to be able to not have any debt? Yep. Do you want to have a great marriage? Yep. Do you want to be a great parent? Yep. Okay. And so on and so forth. And try to find people that run their mouths and talk shit all day long, because there's a lot of us out there. Out there, and they're bragging about how all these people doing courses online, and try to see into their world. Most of them won't even let you in their world. They won't tell you the honest truth. And those are the people you want to pursue. You want to pursue the people that have what you want. Maybe none of those things I listed are important to you. You probably never want to talk to me then if those things aren't important to you, because that's what's important to me. And so that's the area I've built my life around. I can't teach anyone how to do something else. I can't teach anyone to say, okay, no, I don't care about my family. I don't care about, being smart. Well, I just care about money. I don't care. I'll hurt people. I'll do what I have to do to get money. I don't talk to me. I can't help you do that, and I don't want to help you do that. So, anyway, that's my whole point. Just pursue the result, not the process. Who cares about the process? You get the result, and then you can do the whole process all you want. If you're 20 years old, you could be free to live your life however you want by the time you're 25 or 30 years old. If you're 30 years old, you could be free to live your life however you want at 35, 40 years old. If you're 50 years old, guess what? And you're worried about not being able to retire and you're buried in debt. If you do things right, when you're 55, 60 years old, not only would you be able to retire and free from debt and all those other things, you get to live out the rest of your life the way you want. And get this, you'll be able to give your kids the things maybe you've always wanted to give them and your grandkids. Wow. What an amazing thing. But it starts by you just taking action, not pursuing your dream, your passion. So you should pursue your dreams, not pursuing your passion and what you love. And close the back door, weld that bitch shut, and just go for it. Anyway, that's the episode. If you like what you hear, please share it. You can reach me on Instagram. I'm actually going to build a web page for me. that's so like egotistical in my eyes, just having your own web page, brandonsmith.com. I have the domain already, and there's nothing there. Don't go to it. You can. You'll see a GoDaddy page. But I'm going to build a website and ways to communicate and stuff like that. I just appreciate so many of you. I do this only to bring input and light to the world. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. If you still want to listen to me because you don't agree with me, that's cool too. But we don't always have to agree. These are all just my opinions. I'm not saying I'm the holy grail and I'm the foremost expert in this area. I'm just another idiot. I'm just some guy just like you, or some human being just like you who just has an opinion. I have some results in some areas. I have some experience in some areas. And if you care to listen to them, great. And I appreciate so many of you guys. So many of you inspire me. All the messages I've gotten recently, you guys inspire me every day. And it's some of you that'll say, man, I just needed you. You've helped me through so much. You've helped me, right? And I mean that. Like, I need you guys just as much. And I never realized that when I started speaking out. I've learned a lot in the last, almost 2 years now since I've been openly speaking out. I've learned a lot about myself and how much I need from people, the support I need from people, total strangers too, and people that are close to me. So I love what has come from this, and I will continue to do this stuff as long as I see relevance in it and I feel I'm relevant and people are relevant with me. So anyways, we'll wrap it up there. Episode 6, I think this was. So hopefully you enjoyed it.